the beginning of the story, we see a couple. The man's name is Thomas and the woman's name is Mia. They are not happy in their married life. Mia has always wanted a child, but Thomas was not ready for it. Whenever she tried to be intimate with her husband, he would turn her down. One day, while Thomas is sleeping, Mia was watching something on his computer. Suddenly, an email pops up. She opens it, and inside is a photo with 14K written on it. The email is from Dr. Robin. Turns out that Thomas was a banker who invested money in Dr. Robin's research. Dr. Robin was working on a new project that could potentially restore youth after medical treatments, or even make elderly people young again. Dr. Robin had conducted experiments on the public, but she hadn't revealed much about how she was going to do it. Thomas didn't know much about the experiment either, nor did Mia, who was unaware that her husband was investing money in it. When Thomas finds out that Robin is working on this experiment, he invites her to his home. As Robin is on her way, Mia is talking to her neighbor, Nika, outside. Robin stops when she sees Nika and tells her, "You're so beautiful." She starts caressing Nika's hair, plucks a strand, and keeps it in her pocket. Then, Robin goes inside to meet Thomas. Thomas doesn't want the research to be revealed to the world so quickly, but Robin insists, saying, "If I don't do it now, someone else will, and then we won't make any money." She shows Thomas some photos where she has managed to make elderly people look years younger. She asks, "Don't they look young to you?" Thomas replies, "This all looks fine, but make sure there's no mistake in this process." Robin reassures him, "Don't worry," and she leaves the house. That night, Mia dresses up nicely and approaches Thomas, trying to get close to him, but Thomas tells her that he can give her all the happiness in the world, except a child. Hearing this, Mia becomes heartbroken. Meanwhile, Nika is returning home from work when two men attack her on the head, knocking her unconscious. They kidnap her and hide her in their van. When Nika regains consciousness, they burn a hot iron mark onto her hand, causing her intense pain. Kidnappers are taking her somewhere, but on the way, Nika jumps out of the van to save her life and hides by the side of the road. The next day, we see a patient who has come to Dr. Robin for treatment because he wants to look younger. She takes some money from the patient and gets him to sign a contract. Contract states that whatever happens during the treatment will be at his own consent, and he agrees not to tell anyone about it. Patient signs the contract, and then Robin asks him to provide a semen or blood sample. When the patient starts asking questions, she refuses to proceed with the treatment. Meanwhile, Thomas is at home with Mia, and Mia finds out about Robin's experiment. Just then, Nika arrives at their door, injured and asking for help. Mia brings her inside. Nika is extremely distressed. Mia tells Thomas to take Nika to the hospital. When Thomas looks at Nika's hand, he sees the same mark that appeared in the email he had received. He puts Nika in the car and starts driving her to the hospital. But instead of going to the hospital, he takes her to a factory. That moment, the kidnappers arrive and take Nika with them. Turns out that Dr. Robin brings girls to this factory for her experiments, kidnapping them and conducting experiments on them. Thomas enters the factory and meets Robin, telling her, "How long will you keep kidnapping innocent girls?" She responds, "What does it matter to you? Does Nika mean something to you? If not, stay quiet." As night falls, Mia waits for Thomas and Nika to return, but they haven't come back yet. Mia becomes anxious and calls a hospital nearby to inquire about a patient named Nika. She is told that no one by that name has arrived. Worried, Mia tracks Thomas's phone and discovers that he is near Robin's factory. She quickly gets in her car and heads toward that location. When Mia arrives at the factory, Thomas has already left, and she doesn't see his car. Robin notices Mia through the cameras and opens the gate for her. Mia enters the factory and finds several medicines stacked around. Suddenly, she hears a girl screaming. She follows the sound and discovers Robin's assistant torturing a girl and shocking her with electricity. That moment, Robin's other assistant sneaks up behind Mia, grabs her and drags her into a room and locking her inside. The second assistant enters the room and gives Mia some clothes, instructing her to change. With no other choice, Mia reluctantly puts on the clothes. Thomas enters the room and finds Mia. She, distressed and furious, asks, "What is going on here?" Thomas replies, "I had no choice. I'm trapped and there's nothing I can do." He warns Mia to stay inside the room, adding that if she tries to escape, they will kill her. Desperate, Mia begs Thomas to call the police. but Thomas shakes his head, saying, "If I involve the police, they'll also arrest me." Thomas then reveals a dark secret. A few years ago, he was in a hotel room with a woman that Robin had introduced him to. Both of them were intoxicated and ended up sleeping in the same room. But when Thomas woke up the next morning, the woman was dead. Terrified, he assumed he must have accidentally killed her while under the influence. Robin had stepped in, covering up the incident and closing the case. In return, she began blackmailing Thomas, forcing him to fund her unethical experiments. Thomas, unable to escape her clutches, became an unwilling accomplice in her horrifying work. Thomas assures Mia that he will get her out of there, and he leaves. Later that night, as Mia is trying to sleep, she hears a voice outside the door. Peeking out, she sees Mika, who is begging for help and asking Mia to save her. Suddenly, one of Robin's assistants appears and brutally beats Mika to death. Mia watches helplessly, sobbing as they dispose of Mika's body. Meanwhile, Thomas confronts Robin, asking why she kidnaps these women. Robin takes him to her lab and reveals the horrifying truth. She explains that the women she brings to the facility are first made pregnant. Then, during their pregnancy, she used them in her experiments to develop a process that makes people younger. Robin admits that she also wants to become young again, but hasn't been able to conduct the experiment on herself because her DNA hasn't matched with any viable donor. The women whose DNA matches hers have already been experimented on. Until she finds the perfect match, she plans to continue kidnapping women. Horrified but determined to save Mia, Thomas pretends to agree with Robin. He suggests we should kill Mia. She knows too much about your experiments, and if she tells the police, it'll ruin everything. Believing that Thomas is on her side, Robin agrees and instructs him to kill Mia himself. Thomas then goes to Mia, but instead of harming her, he frees her and attempts to help her escape the factory. As they try to flee, Robin's men catch up with them. They knock Thomas unconscious and capture Mia. Turns out that Robin's DNA has matched with Mia's, making her the ideal subject for Robin's next experiment. Afterwards, Robin's men capture Mia and bring her to Robin. There, Robin forcibly injects her with semen and takes her to the basement. There, Mia is horrified to see numerous women imprisoned, all being used as test subjects. She learns that Robin's team regularly extracts samples from these women's bodies to implant them into elderly people, allowing them to regain their youth. While in the basement, Mia notices a woman with the code number 14K stitched on her. Shocked, Mia realizes this is the same woman Thomas had told her about, the one he believed was dead, but the woman is alive. She confides in Mia, revealing that Robin had paid her to participate in the initial experiments. But after the trial was successful, Robin betrayed her and imprisoned her as well. Now she's trapped, just like the rest of them. Suddenly, a girl starts experiencing excruciating pain in her tooth and begins screaming in agony. That moment, one of Ruben's men steps forward and violently pulls out her tooth, making her scream even louder. Then, to silence her, he seals her mouth shut using a stapler. Witnessing this horrifying act, a girl named 14K starts laughing. Enraged by her reaction, Ruben's men mercilessly beat her, leaving her in a terrible state. She moaned in pain because she was pregnant. At that moment, Ruben arrives and declares, "We need to bring this baby into the world." Eventually, 14K gives birth, but Ruben takes the baby away with her. Meanwhile, Mia realizes she has to escape soon, otherwise they could do anything to her. Desperate, Mia uses the bathroom in her cell, and when one of Ruben's men arrives to deliver food, she starts yelling at him. Enraged, he enters the cell and starts beating Mia. Taking advantage of the chaos, Mia cleverly snatches a knife from him and stabs it into his stomach. Though in severe pain, he retaliates, brutally attacking Mia and grabbing her by the neck. The other girls in the cells try to help her. One of them picks up the same knife from the floor inside the cell and stabs the man in the back. He collapses on the spot. Seizing the opportunity, Mia takes the keys from him, unlocks her cell, and frees all the other girls, leading them out of their captivity. They move forward, and all the girls go to search for 14K's baby. Along the way, they come across a container filled with the bodies of countless children. The horrifying sight leaves them terrified and furious. They begin to suspect that Ruben might have killed 14K's baby. Fueled by anger, the group starts searching for Reuben to take revenge. They find Reuben in a room where she was extracting something from the newborn baby, while one of her men stands guard. The girls storm in, and 14 snatches her baby back from Reuben. Enraged, the guard attacks them, but the other girls trap him with a chain and kill him. Realizing the danger, Reuben tries to escape to save her own life. Mia is searching for Thomas when she suddenly finds herself being pursued by the same man she had stabbed to steal the keys. Just then, Thomas arrives, but before they can regroup, a fight breaks out between Thomas and one of Reuben's men. The brutal clash leaves Thomas severely injured, and the man is on the verge of finishing him off. The last moment, Mia intervenes, striking the man and knocking him unconscious, saving Thomas's life. After this, the girls capture the man, subjecting him to the same cruel treatment he had inflicted on them. In a fit of rage, they all come together and ultimately killing him. Meanwhile, Reuben tries to escape with her samples, but the girls are not ready to let her go. They catch her and move in to kill her. Reuben tries to scare them with a knife, but she knows deep down that there's no way out for her. Refusing to die at someone else's hands, she turns the knife on herself, stabbing herself and ending her own life. Soon after, ambulances arrive to transport the injured to the hospital. When the police investigate the factory, they find no evidence to build a case, leading to its closure. The remaining girls are finally free and return to their homes, reclaiming the lives they had lost. A few days later, we see Mia and Thomas, now living a peaceful life with a baby in their arms. The child belongs to 14K, who entrusted Mia and Thomas to raise it as their own. The three of them share a bond built on love, resilience, and hope, and they begin to rebuild their lives, filled with happiness. It is then revealed why Reuben was kidnapping girls. She was conducting horrifying experiments, analyzing their DNA to find matches for her wealthy clients. If a match was found, she would extract the client's semen and artificially inseminated the girl. Once the girl gave birth, Reuben had harvested a mysterious substance from the baby to modify the client's DNA, ensuring they wouldn't age. For Reuben, this was nothing more than a business, a twisted, lucrative enterprise. And with that, the story comes to an end. So friends, thank you so much for watching the video all the way through. Now, here's a question for you. Whose baby do Thomas and Mia end up with in the movie? Don't forget to leave your answer in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Also, hit the bell icon so you never miss any of our upcoming videos. We'll see you in the next one. Till then, stay well, stay healthy. Goodbye for now.